Welcome to Dr. Roger and Friends, the bright side of longevity, hosted by 3 Ps in a podcast, Doc Roger, Teresa, and Danielle. Thanks for joining us for coffee and conversation.
Well, welcome everybody. Good to see you two again. And especially for this episode, because this is part 3 of I Get By with a Little Help from My Friends. I've relied on you two for a long time. But we decided that this one was going to be particularly important because between the time that we recorded the first 2, COVID-19 and the pandemic has hit us. And we have been getting reports, not that we couldn't predict it, but we're getting reports of intense feelings of loneliness and isolation. And in places like senior living or older adults who are living alone, this can be associated with a physical and mental decline that's measurable. Not only is it painful and lower quality of life, but again, it can actually lead to impairments and chronic disease activation and certainly cognitive decline. So for many reasons, we should address this particularly weird environment, a challenge that very few of us have ever had to face, except maybe for short periods of time. And see what we might be able to recommend from our experience so that people can remain connected to others, because let's face it, it's critical. It's who we are as humans that we need to stay connected for quality of life, for health, mental health, as well as physical health. And so let's get to it. Teresa, I know you have some very good ideas.
I do have ideas, and you're so right. We humans are not designed for isolation. And yet here we are needing to stay at least physically distanced, but certainly not socially distanced. And that's, I think, an important point. This is not necessarily social distancing. In fact, it's almost the opposite. Like never before, everything seems to be online or virtual. And that's, of course, not the ideal. The ideal is in-person human connection, but in order to stay safe, plan B, there's so many opportunities to meet people and connect virtually right now like never before. And I have a list of 8 ideas that largely come from my clients. I coach widowed people, but these ideas are good for all people. So let me share them with you. If you have lost someone, could be anyone, a friend, a family member, and you want to connect with others who are in that same space, Grief Share is a group. It is Christian-based, so it does depend on your religion and your thinking, but Grief Share is everywhere across the country, and it's all online. A specific resource if you've lost a spouse is Soaring Spirits International. Same thing, regional groups all over the country, all meeting online. Meetup groups, I think we used to think of meetup.com as a way to connect in person, and it is still that, but at the moment it's all online. So you can, join meetup groups if you love gardening or crochet or anything, and get together online and meet with other people who love the very same things. I have clients who have found volunteer opportunities online during this pandemic, which, so they are out there and they can be found. And how about human capital meets Zoom, right? I know people who are going to teach Spanish, a second language, to grandchildren, or I know someone who teaches piano over Zoom to children. So that's an idea as well. And of course, we know there are millions of social media groups based on geography or based on interests and passions. They are meeting virtually. And then in terms of lifelong learning, we are all fans of the great courses, which are streaming now. And there's so many like that. But One Day You is another opportunity to have participate in university classes. And this is, I think, the most important part, have small group discussions with the professor and other people who are watching. So social connection there. So there's just a few ideas, but I guess what's important is that like never before, things are virtual, and that opportunity to connect with others is so easy if you have, say, an iPad and Wi-Fi connection.
I'm finding those are excellent. I had been connecting with my childhood friends and some college friends physically, regularly over the last decade or so, and that's been very rewarding and comforting. Really, we would occasionally do a Zoom call, but now it's a regular thing. And I see them as breaking through the technology barrier. Some of them didn't know how or were a little timid, but because the need was so great, we coached them and they were listening. And so I see them now so much more engaged, both groups, than they were before. Man, do we ever crave this? For the longest time, the three of us, we've been out on the road talking to people about the importance of social engagement. And, everyone kind of nods and say, yeah, I have friends and I like that. And that's all true. But now where everyone has, it's not an abstraction anymore. It's real. My goodness, I think our job's going to be a little easier to be talking about the value of social engagement. Well, thank you for those, Teresa. Danielle, how about you?
And it's funny, in the first episode, Roger, you talked about mirror neurons and how it's so important to be in person to have that connection. You actually see in the brain patterns are similar. Well, you can see that externally too. There's what's known as mimicry. And while, of course, it does not replace being in person, that's always preferable. What I find really interesting is you see that mimicry, or as Barbara Fredrickson, who's a positive psychologist, would say, it's that positive connection with people. It's almost like these little micro moments of love, and not love in the romantic sense, just with connecting with another person, whether it's a friend or a colleague. So you'll start to notice it in yourself on Zoom calls. You see one person smiling, and then you start to see a pattern of other people smiling, or you see their postures start to get really similar. So they're having that connection. And one of the ways to make it stronger, as Teresa has given some really great examples, is to find stuff that you like to do together. So we can go beyond just getting on a Zoom call and chatting, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you have friends who you all love to dance, or you all love to cook or garden, everything now can translate to an online experience. And when you do that together, you're actually building that meaningful connection in a new way. And let's face it, who wants to keep getting on calls where it's like, what are you doing? Nothing. What are you doing? Nothing. You actually can do something together. And I also want to give a shout out. If you have not listened to the episode, we interviewed Made by Mortals, and they run Armchair Adventures. And what they did is a phenomenal example of taking an older adult theater group that would go into schools and perform for kids, and they brought it to an online storytelling, and they created little activity packs so anybody can go to their website. It's by donation, so if you have $2, there's no limit. You can download these packs. So if you're a grandparent and you want to work with your grandkids, you can download the pack. It tells you how to create your own storytelling experience, and you can get on a call with your grandkids and share some fun stories and create together, which I think is just an amazing intergenerational component.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. That was a good show. I enjoyed that. They're a lot of fun, those. Yeah. Something else that's really that I have been thinking about. We've been talking a lot about resilience lately because this pandemic has required a lot of resilience, and that one of the major traits of resilient people are that they reach out to others, they help others. And so this is a great time, even if it's not by Zoom, even if it's a telephone call, to reach out to people who may be isolated, who live alone, or even if you haven't talked to them in a while, to reconnect. I think you can do a lot of good, and that's going to be good for you also. So think of others during this time.
That's right.
So anything else we can come up with? We'll definitely keep this on our radar, and in future podcasts, as long as the pandemic is going on, and let's hope that that people accept the vaccine and we can get herd immunity and we can start to do the things we love to do here this year. And I actually had the opportunity to be on a call with Dr. Fauci, and he thinks that we will be able to do that if indeed the vaccine is accepted. People get it. And that we'd certainly like to do that. But if we have other ideas, we can insert them into future podcasts, because this is an important topic. We're all struggling with this pandemic. Any last thoughts, ladies?
Yeah, I think it's what we can control every day, and in fact, every minute of every day is giving equal airtime, right? So we're flooded with difficult to hear news and negativity, and maybe it's fear. So we have to change that channel at times. We have the opportunity to change that channel and give equal airtime to the opportunities that the pandemic presents to us, and not to discard people's incredible pain and loss that this pandemic has caused. That certainly is a factor, but it also brings opportunity to connect socially and meet people like never before. So let's be sure we give equal airtime to the opportunities as well as the difficulties of this time.
Bravo. And those heartwarming stories that we hear about, about people who don't even know each other, who reach out and help each other. It's time for some good news, as much as we can get, because as you said, Teresa, we are flooded with some of the less good news, and struggling with that. We certainly hope that this will be of value to you. If you have any ideas, get them to us, and we'll air them, because I think we're all looking for new opportunities to keep our humanity, to keep our social connection and humanity, which are almost one and the same. Well, thank you for being with us, and till next time.
You've been listening to Dr. Roger and Friends, The Bright Side of Longevity. If you like the show, please rate and review, and be sure to click to follow.